on contingency plan, and heroically on a white stallion, Stugotz has rushed into the breach to rescue us. After, what are you smiling about, Billy?
Well, because Stugotz looks the healthiest of the bunch.
Thank you.
Like everybody here in the studio at the company, Stugotz is
That's
the
not a
healthiest
compliment.
of everybody here.
It is for me.
Fresh shave. I think he lost weight somehow on this trip. Like, he looks great.
There is no way I lost any sort of weight. I mean, I appreciate the compliments. I'll take them because it's been a while since I've gotten that around here, but there is no way. In fact, I'm guessing I gained 5 to 10 pounds. Listen, I might look good. I feel horrible, horrific, terrible. 6 dead shows at 50 years of age in 9 nights.
You went to 6?
6.
You went to 6 shows in 9 nights.
6 and 9, yeah.
What did you do the other 3 nights?
Drugs, I mean.
Well, this is why he looks fresh, and this is why he's arguing on behalf of his Jets quarterback, Aaron Rodgers, who's actively promoting psychedelics now. And Stugotz has his quarterback. As soon as Aaron Rodgers gets to the Jets, they both go into a psychedelic spin, not knowing what reality is anymore.
I'm glad you brought up psychedelics because I got to tell you, Dan, I don't know the last time you did mushrooms. David, the last time you did shrooms. I'm assuming the last couple of months, both of you did some.
I've never done shroom.
Really? You're missing out.
Even the chocolates?
I've never done any kind of shroom.
Are you saying that because we're live on the air?
No. I don't mind telling you I've had clinical ketamine. So that's like but that's not a psychedelic. That's like a horse tranquilizer. It's a very serious drug.
Can you get me some?
I don't mind. I don't mind admitting to you what I've used. I've just never done acid.
No, it's not acid. I've never done acid either. Acid is LSD. Shrooms are natural.
Okay, I haven't done that.
What I'm saying, Dan, is shrooms have changed, and I don't like it, okay? Because now you have, like, these micro doses. I had friends who were shrooming at the shows, and they're taking micro doses, and it's the perfect mushroom and the perfect trip. No. You know what the perfect mushroom and the perfect trip is? Just take a bunch of caps and stems and throw them in your mouth. That's what you do. I don't need microdosing. I don't need the perfect trip. You let the LSD take you where it takes you. It's like a lazy river.
It's not
you
LSD,
don't
though,
fight
Stu.
the LSD. I don't care what it is, okay? I don't need it microdosed. I don't need the perfect trip. Sometimes you have a great trip. Sometimes it's a bad trip. Don't fight the LSD. If you do, you'll wind up in the hospital. But that's the beauty. That is the beauty of tripping out. You never know where it's going to take you, and you just don't fight it. I don't need microdosing. I don't need the perfect trip. I don't need any of it, okay? I need caps. I need stems. I throw them in my mouth, occasionally a tab of acid.
I did it one time in Amsterdam, and I took copious notes.
You did?
I wrote down how I felt every 6 minutes. I charted how I felt. I wrote down ideas.
That's weird.
Do you have those?
Yeah.
Where are those?
I do.
On you?
I do have them.
Can we
I
go
have
through
pictures
that?
of them. No, not at the moment, and I'll tell you
Please,
why.
please bring them back. Though.
I need to see
at
those.
some point. I'd like to rifle through
It's
them.
a dreadful thing to do while you're on acid. I mean,
it was mushrooms, not acid.
Okay.
And I had amazing ideas for the Marlins. And the highlight idea was, when you read this sober, you will not think this is a good idea, but I promise you it's a really good idea.
Sign John Baker.
And it was so bad.
Wait a minute. What we've got going on here is that when Stugotz takes mushrooms, he just gets lazier going down the lazy river.
Yes.
When Sampson takes mushrooms, he starts bars and charts and what he's going to solve and just maniacal bookkeeping.
That is exactly what I did.
it's weird.
I have points on a graph.
Right.
Of how I felt at different points and what I was thinking.
You were
at
charting
every
your
point.
feelings.
I was charting everything.
So you went into it beforehand saying, like, let me set up the chart so I can kind of keep track of how the evening goes? Or
Because I was nervous. I'd never done it.
Yeah.
And so I was told at the store, do not do it until you're back at your hotel. But we said, forget it. We took the heads and the stems. Then we walked.
That's how you do it.
And then every bridge looked alike. And we had to pull into a store because first you get really stoned before you start doing what you're doing. And I had a freak out. And once I had the freak out, I said, I better start charting. And that calmed me. And then I produced this amazing content about what happened during my trip.
David, why'd you go every 6 minutes? Like, what was the thought process behind that?
Because I wanted 10 points per hour. So I wanted to have an idea how I was doing incrementally.
Huh.
You guys laugh, but that's what gets a stadium built and also makes him one of the strangest people in the universe. That he would go to a crazed accounting. That his trip, the way that he would lose control is by trying to grab a notepad and control. I'm going to diligently write something every 6 minutes so that I control this out of control high and allow it to have no joy whatsoever.
I have a question for Stugots that I've always kind of wondered.
Sure.
There's a couple things here, right? Because you're talking about like all the shrooms that you did and all this stuff, right? It's weird to me because you, behind the scenes, and this is betraying you a little bit, get very upset when we talk to you or we mention that you smoke cigarettes because you're like, I don't want my kids to hear that I smoke cigarettes. But you're like more than happy with I'm doing shrooms and acid.
I didn't do shrooms, Billy. I'm telling you, my friends did shrooms, and they microdose. And I'm telling them, hey, that's not how you do shrooms, okay? Here's how you do shrooms. You take caps, you take stems, you throw them in your mouth. And you don't worry, and you don't fight it like Sampson, because when you fight it, that's when you have a bad trip. You might have a bad trip, but don't fight it. Don't enable it. You have a good trip, you have a bad trip, and occasionally you have business trips. And that's what I just had, Dano. You are getting expensed. I mean, I just do God bless football. I mean,
6 and 9 nights just
expensive tickets.
Drugged out of his mind.
Well, no, he wasn't. His friends were, Dan.
Yeah.
His friends.
Just his friends.
Yeah.
Are you expensing the actual tickets to the show?
Yeah, yeah.
And under what theory is that?
Content. I mean,
Are you
And the
expensing
shrooms.
the stems?
Yes.
Because the content has just been you again giving a life philosophy of just throw them in your mouth and don't care about anything, which has basically been your entire life.
Exactly. That's the way you have to live life, Dan. That's what you do. Don't fight anything. David, the reason he didn't have a great trip, it was not a great trip. There's no way you had a great trip.
It was amazing.
No, it wasn't.
I loved it.
My
landing was
You
a
were
little
writing.
bumpy. I had a bumpy landing because, as you know, you don't know because you have never done it.
Right.
So you've never
His
done
friends.
No, I've done it. I have done
it. Just
it.
not during the dead shows for 6 times.
I didn't do it
nights.
6 and 9 nights.
Did you do it 4 times in 9 nights?
I did it 3.
3.
Yeah.
So there it is.
So then that's my follow-up question is your daughter was with you on this trip. So, like, how do you explain?
Parts of the trip,
You went
okay.
to the shows with your
Parts
daughter.
of
So
the
how
trip,
do you
yeah.
explain what's going
Parts
on
of the
there?
trip, okay? I went to 2 in Saratoga, 2 in Citi Field, 2 in Fenway. My daughters were only there for 2 of the 6, okay?
You're a better father than I am, and you're tripping with your kids.
No, I'm not. I didn't do it at Citi Field.
I need to figure out a better plan because what I'm doing is not
Just
working.
life plan? Or?
Just every
Take more
day.
shrooms. Maybe one plot every 3 minutes
Well,
as opposed to every 6.
Billy, as the one who is in charge of wrangling Stugots, the
No.
one who doesn't like that at Meadowlark he continues to get blamed for Stugots' expense accounts, can you please tell me whether you've noticed in God Bless Football that after years of doing this over the summer, you have a host quemado? He
I
is
was
fried.
shocked. I was shocked that our plan was to do a show last Friday morning after there was a Citi Field Wednesday night show that I knew he went to.
Right.
Yeah, he was
Yeah.
sober on that.
He was
one.
sober on
Expense
that one.
report,
Yeah.
yeah.
But
Yeah.
is he fried is what I'm asking you. Do you see examples
He
of
looks fresher. I'm telling you, this is the freshest I've seen him in months. Like
Yes!
I don't know if it's a shave. I don't know what it is, but he came in. Maybe he got. Are your clothes bigger? Like something's different.
Like
Like
a little sun, maybe?
it looks a little looser. Like you look relaxed and refreshed, and I was surprised because everyone is struggling here. Like everybody's sick.
Take some time off. Go to some dead shows. Take some shrooms. You'll feel great.
It's kind of like Aaron Rodgers, right? He looks a little bit more refreshed now in New York. Something's up there.
This is his spirit animal
Things to
now.
do.
This is one of the things I did not have happening at the beginning of the pandemic. Stugots' quarterback is going to be a kindred spirit somehow. They're both going to be doing huge amounts of psychedelics.
Now
and
Stu's friends will be.
Yeah,
and
just my friends. then.
friends like Aaron Rodgers.
Stu's
3
more of
times
like a
in 9
coach.
nights. That's it.
Stu's more of like a coach. Like he coaches everybody else. Hey guys, you're not doing that right. You're not doing this right.
I am a
He's
drug
just-
coach.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. DC.
So welcome back, Stugots.
I can't even. How does this work? I don't understand. When you're scheduling him, does he just say it? Like I'm going to dead shows, and I'm expensing it. I'm just trying to get the lay of the land so I can figure out what changes need to be made. So I'm just trying to understand how is the interplay. Does he do it through an automatic calendar?
Oh, his schedule?
Or does he call you directly?
Well, what
and you then
Sampson wants
approve
to
it?
know.
We have a show to do
Billy,
once a
Billy,
week.
you
I
have
mean-
noticed that Sampson is trying to tighten things up around here. You've seen the breakfasts have gone to shit because he's made things a lot cheaper. Are you going to actually?
This is the
They
way.
made me laugh just by putting the breakfast
So sad.
back up on the screen, and it looks like it's yesterday's breakfast.
That is yesterday's breakfast.
No, it's not.
It is. Look, what's happening around here is offensive as he cuts costs in a difficult media time, and I believe it's possible that this expense account might go across Sampson's desk.
I did take the Fruit Loops and put them in my backpack. I need some food.
You're
upstairs.
stealing from the company as well.
What?
No,
You're
that's-
stealing like Lewis taking green Pringles.
We had Fruit Loops.
Yes.
You went into one of these in the
I
kitchen.
would
You went
only
into a
eat what was
drawer.
packaged. All the other
So
stuff
wait,
that
you
was
guys
open,
are
I wouldn't
stealing
take.
from the company, stealing food, stealing drugs.
Wait, there's
There's a
drugs?
supply of
Stealing
drugs
drugs
here.
here?
People
Wow.
steal?
There was
supply.
CBD for a while. There was as,
We
a,
No,
that one
that
out,
was
though.
not.
We
Yeah,
cleaned that
that
out.
wasn't drugs.
What?
Yeah.
as a
Somewhere.
sponsor. I thought that had.
Oh, and part of that is they gave everyone drugs.
There were gummies. There were sleep gummies.
were definitely
but I
gummies.
wasn't even talking about
There
that.
were gummies.
I'm
yeah.
talking about the stems that Stugotz
And
is
the
putting on
caps.
an expense account. It seems we're buying him drugs.
Thank you.
We need to do better. We're going to do better collectively because
I don't know
we
about
can
that.
get rid of breakfast and just make it all stems and heads with some lettuce.
We should just do a show with Stugotz, doing it before
Well,
the
his
show,
friends do it, not
seeing
him.
where the
Yeah.
lazy river takes it.
Oh, God.
Why shouldn't we do that?
I'll chart it.
We'll get to Damian Lillard in a second, and also we'll get to what's happening at the University of Miami and the College World Series. And we'll get to it because a Mike Ryan who has stepped back, wasn't even supposed to be in today. He just came in and started shouting takes at the room because he's got opinions on Lillard and University of Miami baseball. Because it's we just saw another Florida team go to the championship round and another Florida team loses. All we do is finish second place in Florida.
We get there, though. I mean,
We get there, though, is kind of like I come here, man. we get there is they keep arriving at the championship round and then only getting far enough to hurt the absolute most.
Good news for college football fans, though. One of your Florida teams is making the college football playoff. They're not going to win it, but at least they're going to get there.
Is that good news? And is that you don't know that at all?
I was going to say, based on what?
Just based on
the run, yeah.
All of Florida making championships, losing. Isn't that what we're talking
That was
about?
a little peppy. It was a little.
It was. Yes.
Yeah, I don't understand. You're saying because all the other teams have won, then of course we're entitled or due to all of the teams.
He's guaranteeing a Florida college football program that he's guaranteeing one of them will be in the Final Four. That's all he's doing.
Book it, Dano.
Yep.
I spent a lot of time last night very frustrated about something regarding you and your fandom. And then it happened again yesterday, and now you're talking about it today. And I'm just done. There's 28 markets right now that would kill and die to be Miami. They'd kill and die.
That's why I was peppy.
Kill and die. And all you're doing is saying, like, you have this Mike Schur complex. Oh, do it in the finals. Get to win the finals. You know what? Getting there is impossible. CBS did a graphic about how disappointed Florida fans must be, what a tough run it's been. And they showed all the teams and all the finals they've gotten to, but then lost them. And I wanted them to do a graphic of all the teams that haven't sniffed the finals. Why can't you be happy?
Positivity from David Sampson,
Amazing.
the face of corporate greed. Isn't that nice? That he's absolutely right, but the climate that we have created, Stugotz, let me read to you just something that made me laugh yesterday and what is basically our life in sports as things get crueler and crueler. I'm watching Michael Thomas of the Saints, amazing athlete, and we've watched over the last few years. Holy shit, the athleticism on these fields is nuts. Michael Thomas for the Saints has made a lot of money, and they're just showing him deadlifting 575 pounds. A wide receiver. And, yes, Billy, you've made a face.
Unnecessary.
I know. Hold on a second. You'll be not first with whatever the jokes are at Michael Thomas doesn't play's expense because I have the
Can
list.
they show him running a slant?
Well, here, you've got all the cliched jokes. Here we go. Ready? Because you guys got in fast with what I'm saying plagues the industry and plagues with general cruelness a culture of you either win or everyone else is losers. It's not you finish second place. Everyone else, you're all losers because only winners get to, at the end, be celebrated. So Michael Thomas, amazing athlete, against all odds, made it to a crazy contract, and you're looking at athleticism from him. He and Drew Brees were as unstoppable a thing as there's been. He's doing 575, and here are the comments, one after another. Out for the season after this. And that's just to run a slant and go on IR. 575 is the number of games he's missed. Who?
Are those all Stu?
Él es una mierda.
I wish.
That's not
Hispanic Saints fan.
That's not in there.
Saints are going to be scary for the first 3 weeks. That's Nick Chubb's warm-up for squat. It is. Out 12 games next year with a toe injury. All that to do slants. More pounds than he has yards in the last 3 years. All this to play a total of 575 seconds. Guessing this will be the reason he's on the PUP list come late August.
The PUP list.
Not sure how that's going to help him catch more on slant routes. You want me to stop?
Are you skipping any good ones?
And still he'll miss 14 games this season. Honestly, though, I'm asking you, when you ask me, why isn't second place good enough? Because of that. Because that's where sports fans live and are entitled and are addicted to when interacting with the games.
That's a guy who had a great year, a couple of great seasons, signed a big-time contract, got a lot of money, and hasn't played since. That's where that frustration lies.
No, and it's also fantasy. Some of you took him, and you don't think he's human. He's just numbers on a page, and you're mad at him.
Could it be that everyone's just concerned about him? I mean, someone who deals with foot injuries, ankle injuries, hernias, like, hey, maybe not so much weight?
And the other thing is, David, and we'll get to a lurking. I can smell Mike Ryan out there because Damian Lillard, yesterday we got 24 hours of the histrionics. Agent publicly meeting with general manager. Can't do any of this privately. Can't just do a meeting with a phone call. All of the stuff has to be leaked. So it looks like unrest, so that it looks like Damian Lillard might want out. He gets 24 hours of the attention cycle because we move right from you finished in second place to a week later, who are you going to get for me next? Because second place isn't good enough. I want Dame Lillard in Miami. And, Sam Amick and credible reporters, Chris Haynes, who's a bit of a mouthpiece for Damian Lillard, yesterday, they went out of their way to say there is serious interest from Damian Lillard in Miami, going into a meeting with a GM where he's trying to exert power over the GM.
I led nothing personal with this topic. That's how much it bothered me. And the GM had a statement after the meeting about the great dialogue and how committed we are to winning with Dame and talking about roster construction. And it's just offensive to me. No GM. I never had one meeting with the player to talk about roster construction. Never. Not one. And a player walks in and says, hey, we need some relief pitching. Hey, we're not happy with Bell right now. Just get out of the office.
Basketball's different.
Go play.
Basketball.
That level of empowerment that's the problem.
Okay.
And it's not working for teams. But that wasn't the point of why you should be more happy. I agree there's one winner, there's one champion, and the rest lose. But as a community, what Miami has had, it's special. It doesn't happen often. And you've had it for decades here. With the Heat starting their first title was 06, the Marlins 97. Call it 26 years of championships here in Miami.
And Mike Ryan is here to tell you that Dame Dalla is a loser.
Oh, he's a big loser. Favorite player in the league, but he's going to be 33 years old, and if this path continues, it's a career wasted. It really is.
Is it?
Yeah, because he won't be remembered. Damian Lillard.
He'll be in the Hall of Fame, right?
Damian Lillard won't be a name that rings eternal without an appearance in June. It won't be. He's one of the greatest shooters we've ever seen, and he's not even thought of that way. He's not thought of as the best point guard in his generation because he plays in the same generation as Steph Curry, a much better shooter than him.
Mike, I think most people acknowledge, and even he's given voice to, I'm the second best shooter ever. Damian Lillard gets credit as being exceptional at shooting.
Yeah, Clyde Drexler, I remember, but I think he's in that tier. I think it's a very good comp, and that Clyde Drexler was an excellent two guard, and he played in a great era of two guards, and he's not one of the first 15 names that come to mind. I think
he made the dream team, Mike.
It's admirable what Damian Lillard is doing, but this is a legacy play too. Jeremy Grant and Draymond Green, you're not getting the credit that you think that you're getting. If you come to Miami, I know they made it to an NBA Finals, but this was an 8 seed. He's going to get the credit. He's going to be respected. It's not Kevin Durant on the Warriors where Stugotz will keep rings away from him, I don't think.
Okay, but just to inform the audience of the most recent developments, because Lillard is the words coming out of that meeting, hey, this is a tense crossroads. Lillard's never done this before. It's never seen that Lillard's one of the guys who wants out. And in that meeting, what he's getting the promise of is we'll get in the Draymond sweepstakes. That's not much of a promise.
It's also not enough.
Jeremy Grant and Draymond, at this stage in his career, that's play-in talk. That's not a championship competitor. That's not a championship threat. God bless him. I like watching him, but it's really unfortunate that he doesn't get to play marquee games.
I do understand why he would want to play with Draymond, as his two-man game with Steph is arguably the best offensive threat in the league, and Dame has some of those similar skills. It's the same reason Dame would want to play with a player like Bam Adebayo. So you look at Miami, it's another option. I think he's trying to find someone who he can play off of that creates more offense for him. But what it feels like in Portland more than anything is it's like two people who have been married for a long time, and for whatever reason, their lives are going separate directions. They both know it, but they love each other, and they just don't want to end it. I think Portland and Dame both have this affinity for each other. He loves the fan base, and it's just one of those things where nobody wants to be the one to make that call, so they're trying to find a way to make it work.
Draymond Green is getting pregnant. to save a marriage.
Sure.
That they still love each other. They know they're headed toward divorce, but let's try and bring more pressure. You know what I think is going to make things less volatile in Portland? Draymond Green. That's funny, right?
So is playing Welcome to Miami like his version of cheating on his team so that ends the marriage?
Well, one of the things in
Thirst
the
trap on Instagram.
Like, I want to
yeah.
get caught doing something wrong to get out of this
That's his
relationship.
version of liking a thirst trap.
Huh.
Billy, you tell me if Tyler Hero's not hurt by what Jimmy Butler is doing, flirting with Damian Lillard.
Well, Tyler Hero's hurt, period.
Yes. And you don't think Tyler Hero is hurt by Jimmy Butler publicly flirting with the guy that would be traded out of town in order to bring Damian Lillard?
I don't know, Tyler Hero. He seems like someone that just kind of like is there.
He's
You know what
happy
I mean?
every 2 weeks.
Right.
Yeah,
Just
he's-
happy to be in the league.
Yeah, Tyler seems like someone that won't let these things get to him too badly. I don't know.
I mean, he'll go to the Blazers and average 38 points a game on like 27% shooting. Who cares? I mean, Tyler Hero, please. And Damian Lillard is a major upgrade over Tyler Hero. You would agree, right? I mean,
Damian Lillard walks into the Heat franchise as its best player if he gets traded here.
Ever?
No. As its best player on the roster right now. He's better than Jimmy Butler, and he's better than Bam.
So he, right now, if he remains in Portland, is not thought of as an all-time great and is kind of forgotten. But if he
you've
comes
got
to
it.
Miami,
Yes, that's it.
he's
You've got it,
a
Billy.
legend.
Because he'll do the winning. He'll be playing the meaningful games.
That's really great analysis, Mike. That's first class.
games in June. Right.
He's a loser because he might stay
Unless-
there unless he becomes
Unless
a
he-
winner by coming here.
Yeah, well, he'd become a winner by coming here.
So ridiculous.
I mean, why are they laughing? I'm right. I don't understand what are they laughing at?
I actually kind of agree with him.
He's gonna do what he's doing in Portland, in Miami. I don't. What are you laughing at? You don't think that they're a threat in the East if Damian Lillard comes to Miami?
We're laughing at you, Mike.
No, I get it, but like, what on what merit?
Players
Like,
don't change what their legacy is depending on whether they work their way into the Heat.
no, they change their legacy on whether or not they play in NBA Finals.
But he could make the finals with the Trailblazers too.
No.
What?
He never has,
No,
and he's
no,
not going to.
No,
Right,
no,
that's the
no,
point.
he can't.
Yes,
The
right.
point that Mike is making, no, he can't. They can't do anything. It's pretty clear that if he stays there, it's to end his career not winning. He's not going to win there.
He has a contract. He has 2 years and $93 million left, and you guys are talking about, of course he has the right to walk.
But
in and
David, he's
demand a
not going to
trade.
win there.
He's not-
Mike's saying he would have a chance at winning here
Yeah.
with this team and this organization.
Trailblazers don't owe him that.
I've never understood
We're
that
not
part
saying
of
that,
basketball where a star can just decide, I don't want to be here anymore. And the team almost always is like, okay,
Yeah.
where do you want to go? Like, we'll send you there.
Players have a lot of power, Billy, and I do think that this is one of those
I
situations.
mean, but they have that power because the management gives it to them, right?
the only reason.
Like, you could very easily just be like, sorry, Dame,
But
like,
this
you're
is what
staying
David,
here.
this is
We've
what Sampson
seen
is
this
saying.
before.
This is what Sampson's saying about the poison that is player power.
Do you not remember
Samson
melodrama?
wants to have the power.
But it's not real power.
No, but it is. Like,
No, we give it to them.
Yeah,
You can't-
it's given
not
power.
power.
You
Okay.
can't actually say, I'm going to go play for this team unless they say, okay, we'll do it for
a
you.
player can make a mess. Don't you recall melodrama? It lasted 1.5 years. Don't you remember Dwight Howard in Orlando and the Sam Van Gundy thing? These situations can become untenable, and the player does have a lot of leverage in these situations. Don't tell me like it's like, okay, they can just put their foot down and not move them. If a player wants to go, the player goes.
On principle alone, there are times that you don't do that. Christian Yelich walked in day one to Jeter and said it, and said, I want to be traded," and Jeter acquiesced. In what? Can you imagine Yelich on our team right now? Our team, I didn't.
On your
He's
team
pretty
right now,
mediocre.
he's pretty
I mean, the
bad.
team's
well,
pretty good.
Let's get to
mean,
this next. We'll get to this in just a
It's
second.
amazing
because
that the Marlins made like the 2 worst trades in MLB history.
we need to get to next. We didn't do enough with it yesterday. The sheer delight. I'm hoping we can get instant replay back there or something. The look that came over David's face when he realized the possibility and lustfully thought about manipulating and taking advantage of Bob Ross. I need to get to this because it was stunning how happy he became at the very idea of being able to take all of Bob Ross's things. We'll get to that next. David Sampson has no issue showing you some of his vulnerable, weird spaces. So it makes sense that while watching movies about horror late at night in his 50s in a hotel room, he would need the comfort of the front desk because he was scared. I have in front of me what I believe to be something happening in Hialeah right now that will scare you as someone who likes order and likes people to be responsible. And we're going to get to that in just a second, and we're going to get to your sheer delight at wanting to steal Bob Ross's things in a second as well.
I have a question for David. Do you chart anything else? Like, is that an uncommon thing, or is that a regular thing for you?
I do chart things.
Like often, like every time I do XYZ, I chart it, or
just when you're on acid.
I've never done acid.
It's the same thing.
No, it's definitely not.
Stu hasn't either, just his friends.
Just his friends. Yeah, there's certain things you have to chart because that's actually the smart way. So you can learn from what your previous behaviors were and how you react to certain things that are going on. It actually helps inform you how to deal with situations that come up again. You can go back to see how you reacted and then change if you didn't get the desired result.
So like what?
Certain things with business meetings. So I'll get out of a meeting and say, I tried this approach to negotiate with a player, with an agent. We tried this tack. It did not work. Therefore, we're going to do a different one.
But in your personal life, like, do you have other like everyday things that you chart? Like,
no, my personal life is maybe I should. Never talked about that.
Oh, if you cared to
about
pour,
yourself.
if you cared to pour your will into cultivating a relationship at home instead of stealing Bob Ross's money,
now we're on to something. We're making progress.
You want to pour me into your will?
Mike,
my chart, maybe.
Before you fully step out, I will get to this horrifying set of numbers I want to present David Sampson with about Hialeah in a second. But Mike continues to be mad at the University of Miami baseball team. LSU wins the title last night. College baseball is super. It's just fun. And what LSU did, that College World Series swung back and forth, and you realize you're watching like a really cool, swaggering LSU program, a beast that grifted off of LSU football getting popular and kicked the holy hell out of a Florida team that was very good. And Mike Ryan is mad because Florida and LSU don't have any more right to be great at college baseball than Miami does. Miami birthed sort of what those programs have become. Skip Bertman went from University of Miami to LSU, tried to take it there. The history of this is Miami birthed this thing. Why is LSU and Florida better at it?
Well, LSU's been really good for a long time, beating Miami in a national championship game. I think it's a little disingenuous to say they've grifted off of the football's success. It's been a successful program for a long time, and they do have more of a right to actually be in the College World Series because they have more resources, they have more scholarships available as public institutions. For Miami's kind of the outlier, and Stanford as well. As private institutions, you're handcuffed as to the financial resources you can give. So you have to recruit a different type of player, which is why I think private school experience, like 2 of the 3 candidates that were involved in this search, was kind of essential.
And so after a day of pointing out that you didn't like, part of the problem now being the ordained solution at the University of Miami. Why are Sampson and Stugotz laughing right now while I'm trying to talk to Mike?
I don't know why Stu's laughing because he wasn't here. I'm laughing because I'm listening to Mike talk and his visceral anger. He came in on an off day. We can't get people to come in on an on day. Forget that. He came in on an off day
to talk college baseball.
I'm really trying to correct some of this stuff because I know I can be grating to the audience. What is so visceral and angry about me right now?
I don't think you're visceral and angry. I think you're generally emotional. Calm. You love that program, and you're someone who's part of. You've contributed money to the program, and you're now in the circles where the power is being brokered on who gets control of this program. Columbus High School has control of the University of Miami program.
Yeah, they do.
That's the problem.
I mean, this is how it goes in Miami.
Yeah. Here's what happened with the Miami search. Ultimately, after doing some reporting and collecting the data, I think they went cheap. And that wasn't necessarily why I started giving money to the program. That's not really the promise. I guess they're applying most of their resources to the football program and getting buildings in place for the football program. Dan Radakovich is a high-priced AD, making about 4 times as much as Blake James, and his reputation is, I'm a building builder. I'll get you the facilities. And that's really important for the football team to be successful, and I understand that. Dan Radakovich, I don't believe JD to be his top choice. I think a collective made a decision. They looked at budgets. They decided resources were better allocated elsewhere, and that the separation between the 3 candidates wasn't enough to justify the salaries. And that's frustrating to me because a lot of new administrators and lieutenants are commanding pretty big salaries. And in college baseball, we're talking about a difference of a couple $100,000. It's not a lot. The reigning coach of the year wanted to be here. And he's not a one-year wonder at Wake Forest. He had plenty of success in New Orleans after Katrina. He is the reigning coach of the year. I thought the program that we were building here when we went after Dan Radakovich, when President Frank acknowledged some of the failings of years past, that if the reigning coach of the year wants to be in Miami, we're going to make that happen. We didn't make that happen. We went with a guy who was probably, if you listen to some fans, the biggest impediment. Miami's had the best winning percentage in the ACC over the last few years, and yet they can't get past the regionals or the super regionals. And it's because JD hasn't necessarily developed pitchers. So I guess the good news is JD doesn't have to be the pitching coach anymore, and we'll see what this goes. How this goes. He bleeds orange and green. So did the last guy. I will support him. I think there were better candidates out there, and we'll see how this works out. I do know that people of influence back JD. He's a Miami guy. Guys like Alex Rodriguez were in his camp. Hopefully this means Alex Rodriguez will commit resources to NIL and help this program. Because
let's go, A-Rod.
A-Rod stroked a big check to get his name on that.
A-Rod, I think Mike Ryan has given more money to the school than you have. Come on.
No, not over the course of the years. Like, he stroked a big check.
I'm saying he wrote the big check when he wanted to polish his image in Miami and pretend like he had gone to Miami when he didn't. Yeah, he had his insecurities.
Who would do that?
He also owes Miami nothing. He didn't go there.
No, I mean, yeah, but I didn't go there either, and I give more annually than A-Rod.
Oh.
How do you know that?
What do you mean, how do I know that? Because I give
How
more,
do you know
Because
that?
people that give. Because
Wait,
people
one more
that
time?
give. Because
How do you know what A-Rod gives?
I'm very. How do I know what he gives?
You get a
list
list every year?
I ask.
They're not allowed to.
He's a reporter.
I'm not allowed to find out like who's donating to the program as a booster.
You could
donor
try
and a
and find
reporter.
out, but someone shouldn't tell you.
He's both.
You can't be
He's
both.
walking the line pretty well right now. He is a donor and a reporter. He's more informed
You
on.
can't be
All right.
both.
Who's
I
in
mean-
charge of telling me I can't report, and who's in charge at the University of Miami telling me I can't donate because they're taking my money? Like, they're not.
Don't get me wrong, they'll take the money.
You think when I'm writing them a big check, they're like, "Ooh, we can't take this guy's money because he has a platform."
Mike is classically hustling backwards. Usually what you do, if you want to grift off of a program, it's so that you can make money off of reporting off of the program, not so that you could give them money in order to report on the program.
You can have your laugh, but I'm well-intentioned. I genuinely care about the program, and I want what's best for it. And I got directly involved, and I started giving resources because I wanted to turn things around. Things like what just happened, where UM goes on the cheap. And say what you will about college baseball and Miami's place in its history. When Jim Morris was the biggest name available, Miami went and got him. And he won a national title down here. That's something that the football program used to do, and we corrected it. The coach of the year wanted to be here. Pollard wanted to be here. Dan Radakovich said, okay, go ahead with JD. And I'm not even sure that was his top candidate. So it's a disappointing end to a less than stellar job search, I think.
Donate more and report less, and then you can have your say.
David, screw off.
Stugotz, I want to put some strain on our very expensive and taxed video team.
Let's not strain anyone.
I want to put some strain as we groan around here at Meadowlark Media under the weight of people are off and people don't do their job well.
And planes apparently just sometimes want to fly, sometimes they don't. But we can
Don't get me started with that.
Oh boy.
Let's create a list for Tony somewhere of things that we won't get him started on because I want to get your opinions in a moment on Hialeah. But before I get to that, because I'd really like to get to some of the things I want to get to here without getting detoured again and again, I want the video team to find for me, because I asked for it once already, and I want it cut up. I want people to be able to see on YouTube where we're live for an hour every day, locally, nationally, internationally. I want them to be able to see what comes over David Sampson's face when he hears that Bob Ross was taken advantage of at the very end by a whole bunch of people, a whole bunch of piranha who just ate up his business interests. Sweet, sweet Bob Ross. And the delight and the radiance that came over David Sampson at the idea of being able to steal all of Bob Ross's money. I want that captured for posterity in the corner of the screen as the face of scary laughing greed, because poor Bob Ross, literally, because people like David Sampson knew there were ways to take advantage of him.
Just want to put a nice little tree here. Nice little tree.
David Sampson is very sick.
Oh, Jesus.
It's very unpleasant.
I mean,
There's no cough button here.
Listen, I just came back from a healthy trip. I mean, I'm feeling great. I'm looking good.
He's been coughing for 2 days.
God.
Stugotz is on drugs and taking vacation.
No, his friends.
Friends. I was close to drugs.
Samson is
Drug
working
adjacent.
8 podcasts a day, nothing personal every day. First thing in the morning before anyone sane is awake. He's a Navy SEAL of burping content right in the morning. Here's everything you need to know about everything in sports from every angle.
Early bird gets the worm,
50
Dano.
straight minutes. And he can't sleep at night. And he's crazed.
That pretty much, I'm going to chart that.
Any scaries last night, David? Any trips to the lobby? Or?
I didn't have time.
Really? What were you doing?
I didn't have time. The only thing I could watch was the newest episode of The Idol.
Oh, how's that? Bad, right? That's what everybody's
Not
saying.
great.
Can I get Hank's cell phone number?
You're coughing and wheezing through your laugh.
That wasn't a wheeze.
You
that
sound
was a real laugh.
so bad.
It was
you
a wheeze.
Sound
I'm so sorry.
bad.
I'm fine. Can I have his phone number,
No,
please? Because he's in
no,
The Idol.
No.
And you said he doesn't need to be.
He doesn't
you said
need
it.
to be.
You said he has Simpson's money.
He doesn't
Well, he
need to
does.
be. And the last time he was on, right before Brockmire, I told him, I said, hey, the show was saying you took a paycheck. And he laughed in my face. I don't have to take paychecks. Like, he chose that because he wanted to do that show.
He wanted to do The Idol.
Yeah, yes, he doesn't need money. I assure you.
So is he bored?
He likes to do the creative things he likes to do, and only those things.
He said he was having fun on the show, regardless of what people were saying. He was having fun.
He's got total creative freedom, except he needs people to hire him to make things. And there seems to be some turbulence around that coming up because there's a writer's strike, and we keep wasting our interns' time. Who's going to be fine?
Hank's going to be fine. Don't worry about Hank.
Just fine.
He's not one to worry about in this
He
situation.
doesn't have to worry about. That's
No.
right. There are a lot of people to worry about.
What would
here.
you text him, just out of curiosity? Like you want his number, but what would it be? Just wondering his choices and being in there?
No, I would
breakdown.
just want to ask him. First of all, we used to be. I have his cell number, so I was sort of joking.
I was going to send it to you because he was mean to me once, so I don't care.
You could always ask Mike Schur for it.
I tried, Billy. It's not. The board's not up. I couldn't. I tried to hit him with the look at me, Louie, and it failed because
Getting one of those yellow caution
I was
things.
trying to tell people. Someone's
Yes,
got to hit it.
I
Someone,
know.
anyone.
We were all trying to hit it, but Billy was distracted by arguing with David. Billy's got some tensions with David that go way back.
I do? Why?
How he ran the Marlins, your favorite team?
What does that have to do with what's going on? We're having a fine day, are we not?
No tensions.
No tensions. I was just going to send him Hank Azaria's number so he could talk to him if he wanted it, because Hank was mean to me once, so I
He
don't care
has
about
it, though.
protecting him.
Right, he has it.
He was mean to you?
Oh, yeah. Once. I don't
What
forget.
happened?
I don't remember. He made some joke about how I should shut up or something like that, and I was like, wow. Way to pick on the little guy.
Can I get Mike's number too, please?
That I was specifically told yesterday to not give you, unfortunately.
Bye, Mike.
I can't say yes.
What is happening here with you and needing and wanting Mike Scherr's number?
I find it to be unreasonable, everything that's happening. Stu,
Yeah.
can I have Mike's phone number?
Sure.
Thank you. I knew Stu would do it. Listen, he's the perfect person who would do it. Just
See you
text
right
it
now.
to me if you don't mind.
You got it.
He's going to do it right now.
I mean, we will see. Stugotz says he will do things and fails to come through all the time. Like, it's his signature move. So
You have to do it small,
we
small
will see,
asks.
but we'll see if what you think you're getting is what you get. Because I'm telling you, Stugotz is very good at saying he's going to do something and then not doing that thing. So Stugotz is trying to finagle a book out of Mike Scherr. Stugotz.
Not trying to finagle a book out of Mike Scherr. I asked Mike Scherr for help with my personal record book. I sent you the number, David.
What? His number doesn't start with 555?
Oh, that's Mike Buck from Nature Bee. Sorry.
Here are the numbers, David, from Hialeah. Tony, explain to the good people of the international and national audience what Hialeah is.
Hialeah is such a special place, Dan. A city of progress, by the way.
That's so stupid.
Why? Why is that stupid, Billy?
Well, that's their slogan.
That's
but
the
it's just
slogan,
got a
City of
ridiculous
Progress.
slogan, yeah.
So it is the most concentrated Hispanic community outside of Puerto Rico in the United States. Makes it a very interesting place. There's also a lot of old people. There's like a big mix between Cubans and old Cubans. Yeah.
It's also really confusing because every street has two numbers.
Oh, yeah, that's
so
true.
like it's hard to find.
It's
things.
like 103rd, but also East 49th.
Yeah, you need to kind of know Hialeah to know.
It's like a very angular place. Like two streets meet in one angle and then go different ways, but are different street
There are a
names.
number of fascinating things to me historically about Hialeah.
There's also this giant water fountain thing, like in the middle of it, that everybody goes to for some reason that I don't get.
You laughed in Tony's face when he said, La Ciudad del Progreso.
Yeah, well, that's their slogan. It's just a funny slogan.
City of Progress.
Because it's not progress.
There's
over
not.
there.
There hasn't been.
There
much
has been
progress.
some progress
No, there's
in the
been very
60s and
little
70s.
progress.
Are you claiming there's
progress
been
then.
zero
Billy
progress in
laughed,
Hialeah?
but what I'm telling you is
Isn't
Billy-
there like an
what I
expressway
am
that just
telling you-
stops?
Listen, let me explain to you what just happened there. Billy laughed at his people and then was unwilling to have the balls to follow up.
No, I'm
He
laughing
was
at the
saying
slogan.
City of yes, but the slogan is funny only if you explain to the people that Hialeah is not what anyone in Miami would call progress.
There's a part in Hialeah that is like an expressway or an overpass or something that just stops.
It's the Gratney.
Like they stopped making it. I
the
guess
Grat,
there
yeah.
there must be some explanation other than they just stopped making it, but it just stops.
I'm sorry, David Sampson's delight is on the camera right now. It is in the corner. Our strained video team has brought things together. That right there is the delight on David Sampson's face as he learns that Bob Ross could be ripped off all the way to the grave.
That is exactly what I was laughing at, actually.
It's unbelievable. It is the happiest I've ever seen it.
That's not edited. That wasn't even a heavy lift for the video department. That was just like
Why
that.
does stealing money make you so happy?
That's not exactly how it happens, Stu, but you weren't here.
Dave, I think you'll appreciate this. That reminds me, that video of him turning around and laughing reminds me of Henry Hill in Goodfellas where they're making the jokes. That's exactly what it is. I was looking for it.
It's totally dynamite. He is so
I'm funny, what, like a clown?
It was a really good documentary, though.
So Hialeah.
Getting back to Hialeah.
Progress.
My father, I didn't know that we didn't have money growing up, but I knew that people in Hialeah did. That's where my father worked, and I just sort of, we were broke, but we were less broke as whatever. An infiltration of Cubans comes to this region, and many of them set up building Hialeah like a cluster bleep of just Latin America. A lot of places don't speak English, and Tony's right. A lot of old Cubans
A
there.
lot of old ones.
But so here are these numbers, and this might explain it because I don't know what's happening here. But in Hialeah, from January 1st to May 1st, 4,716 911 calls went unanswered.
What?
I want to know of very few certainties in my life, but I want to know that the systems are working well enough that if I dial 911, someone's going to answer. Someone's going to pick up and go, oigo, somebody's going to answer. Anybody. Dímelo. ¿Qué hay? Somebody, I need to know. This may just be that old people dial it too much, and the police staff is just fed up. They're like, ya, ese viejo, Ramiro, déjame tranquilo. He calls 27 times a week.
Thank you.
Let it go to voicemail.
Dan, you know how it is. Old people want to talk to people, and who always answers the phone? 911. So you call,
Not
oye,
always.
gato salamata, no sé qué estoy haciendo. And they're just like, this guy again.
But there is nothing more third world about where we're living right now that you can't. That's the fifth least affordable housing market in America now. Some of those people paying those prices are going to expect their 911 calls to be returned.
Well, everyone should expect their 911 calls to get answered.
But does anywhere else in the country have that,
emergency.
or is it just? Did a report come out that it's just Hialeah? Is that what's happening?
It's not just, I don't think it's just Hialeah, and I don't know what the norm is. This is an average of 31 a day are going missed, and it goes back to 2021 because Miami's the account. This is Billy Corbin's rabble-rousing. It's 33,219 calls have been missed in the last 3 years.
But with no frame of reference, does that mean anything to you? I mean, it's great content. I'm laughing because it's
Well,
funny,
I just
but
don't expect my 911 call to not go answered in the United States.
How many go unanswered in Manhattan?
I don't know.
But wouldn't that be important to
But
know for
okay, we could do the math of this, or we could just ask how you're going to feel if you have not dialed 911 and you're living in a place where you're unsure. As an anal compulsive person, you're unsure about
thought of
whether
this.
your emergency call is going to be answered.
I don't call 911. I've never called 911. If I have an emergency, I have someone ready to take my emergency call, to deal with it. I don't want 911 because then you can't control where they take you. I don't know if you knew that.
You have a Colin in succession. You have like somebody who just follows.
Larry Beinfest.
It used to be. It used to be. Not anymore. Got fired. Had to find a new one.
Larry Beinfest really was like a butler, correct? Like
No,
a concierge,
not at all.
A concierge GM.
Not at all. We were all concierge butlers to Jeffrey, so I understand what your point is. But yes, he was that.
Right.
That's someone you call 24 hours who will take you where you have to go in an emergency. 911, and this is not just Hialeah. They don't take you. They take you to the hospital they choose. You know that, right? You never knew that.
It's usually proximity, right? But it's not necessarily the one that you would choose.
Correct.
I'm just stunned that Dave has gone to math versus just the horror of not having
Well-
his 911 call or being in an
He's
emergency.
got a guy, though, Dan.
Yeah, if he's got a guy, no wonder. He doesn't need
Emergency
911.
guy.
But
Right.
if you're going by math, 33 missed calls a day, if there's 3,300 calls, 99% of the calls are answered. It's not reassuring that there's still 33 that aren't if you're one of the 33, but you don't know the numbers.
6.7% are going unanswered. That's
Less
quite a bit.
emergencies than I thought.
I mean, you had a lot of emergencies in La Ciudad de Progreso. You had a lot of emergencies.
3,300.
A day.
There's a lot of people.
Put it on the poll at Le Batard Show. In your neighborhood, are you expecting 3,300 emergencies a day?
At least not 3 blocks. It's a big area.
I understand. No, but you're expecting just typical Latin popcorn chaos. Like,
I
of
mean,
course,
people are walking
over
around
there,
machetes
yes,
cutting
yes,
down trees.
yes.
It's easy to lose a
That is true.
finger
It's mango
here and there.
season.
Yeah, it is mango season and aguacate season. Oh, you know how
They're
many
getting
mangoes?
them.
Dude, people are offering mangoes by the bundle right now. Multiple people showed up at my house, at my parents' house. A neighbor from behind that we never talked to was just like, here's a bag full of mangoes. Want them? I have extra.
People are giving them away because they
They're-
just can't eat enough of them.
They can't consume the mangoes before they go bad. Want some mangoes, David?
We live in a marsh. We live just mangoes falling from trees, and we got to eat them before they just all rot on the floor. We got to hand them out to our neighbors. I mean, Hialeah is the best and the worst of our people, and they should have their 911s. Their calls answered, whether it's because
Everyone should have their 911
sharpen the
call
machete
answered,
excessively because a man drives around the neighborhood with a horrible screeching sound.
Lord,
He
yeah,
makes
that
a
guy.
killing there.
To sharpen your knives, an ice cream truck that sharpens your knives. Because yes, if you're sharpening your knives to get some of those mangoes, they're so plentiful that you've got to give the aludes.
I have a mango guy.
It's Pine Fest.
Beinfest is also your mango guy. Can we talk for a second about Tyreek Hill? Let's do that next.
Okay.